Hello viewers, welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel, and today we are going to be replacing the rear shocks on this 2015 Toyota Sienna minivan. It's equipped with the 3.5 liter V6 2GR-FE engine, and the customer has just requested that they wanted to replace the rear shock. So I'm going to show you on how it's done today. Now these particular shocks that I'm using are the Monroe shock. So this is what was available at the parts stores. So I just got this. Usually I recommend to use the KYB shocks because they're a little better, but these ones work just as good or fine. So I'm just gonna be using these. Speaking about the shocks, these ones already come with the necessary hardware for the top mount. So it already comes with the washers and the nut and the rubber insulators or the bushing. So you don't need to buy anything separately because it comes with it in the box. So this particular Sienna is the XLE all-wheel drive version. So the part numbers are going to be different if you have the front wheel drive version. The part number for this one is 37301 ST. If you want to get the same parts. So now I'm just underneath the vehicle. The nut is a 19 millimeter. I just have a bottle jack to support the rear suspension and where the coil spring is, because when you take this shock out, the suspension is going to drop. So you want to make sure that you have it properly supported. So I'm just using a bottle jack. Just make sure that you use a good quality bottle jack or a regular jack or something. This bottle jack is made in Japan. If you want to use one, just make sure that you don't use the cheap Chinese one, because they often don't work very well and they often fail. So make sure that to use one that's made in Japan. So now I'm just going to take off the nut for the rear shock. It's a 19. Here's the washer. Just make sure that you note the orientation of the washer. It's probably the same either side, but just try your best to put it exactly the same way when you took it off. So now you just use a pry bar to pry the shock out of the way. So it's loose now. So now we have to go inside the vehicle to take it off. Now it doesn't really matter if you take it out from here first or from the top first. It doesn't really matter. But when you do take it out, the shock will probably fall off. So you might want to temporarily to leave it inside here, just on the edge, so that when you remove it, it doesn't fall down on the floor. So the top mount piece is located inside here. So you will need to use a screwdriver in order to take off the clip, the plastic panel trim piece. There's a protective insulator for the top mount, so you just need to take it out. You can just use your hands to take it out. If not, you can just use a trim tool or something, or screwdriver to pry it out. you should be able to get it off. And now you have exposed the mount hardware stuff. You'll need a proper socket and the Allen key to remove the nut. So this is a 6 millimeter Allen key and a 17 millimeter uh, nut. So I'm just going to use a standard Allen key to hold it in there, just to loosen the nut now. Now, if you're having a hard time trying to break this loose with this Allen key, you can use a small piece of pipe to put inside here to hold it down, so you don't hurt yourself, and then you can try to loosen it then, and it will make life easier. So after you turn the wrench counterclockwise in the Allen key in the clockwise direction, you'll be able to loosen it. So it will make life easier to use a small piece of pipe to get this loose. We're going to take out the nut. Washer. The shock just fell down now. Make sure you note the orientation of the washer, so you put everything back the same way. And then there's the other piece of hardware, so it goes like this, and the nut on top. So now you can see the opening here, the shock. I believe it fell down now, so we are going to go under the vehicle to have a look. So there's the shock. We're just gonna take it out from here. This one has a dust shield boot that comes with it. So now we're just gonna compare the new shock and the old shock. Make sure the parts are all the same. And there was a dust boot that comes with it. I'm not sure if we're gonna be reusing this or not, but we have to see if everything, if it fits properly. It comes with the mounting hardware stuff. So we are just gonna transfer everything over. So this is the old shock and this is the new shock. We're just gonna do a comparison check. I think this one is still okay. Still goes up and works fine. But the customer, they wanted to replace this because they requested that they wanted to replace it. So this is still going up very slowly. Now on the old shock, I notice it has the 6 millimeter Allen key hole here, but on the new one it does not have it. So it has like a hex here to hold it down. If you need to hold down the shock to tighten it up. So I'm just going to open up the hardware stuff just to see on what's here. Just a couple washers, a nut, and the rubbers, the bushings. So because that this part here is an aftermarket part, it comes with the dust shield as a whole. So this piece here is part of the part itself. So I'm not able to transfer the dust shield that came off of it. You can see that the entire rod on the old part is completely exposed, and here it has a shield here. So I already tried off camera to try to get this inside, but it won't work. So you are going to have to discard this depending on which shock you are using. In this case, the Monroe shocks, I cannot reuse this. So you can either save this for the future, for next time, if you ever decide to go with the OEM shocks, or if you have a different style shocks in which you can transfer this over, because I'm not able to transfer this over. So we're just going to leave this. Now on this particular one, it comes with the hardware here. So the way it's going to be is going to be like this. We're going to put the washer like this. The concave part is facing upwards, and this is going to sit, is going to sit like this. It won't work if you put it like this, because it's not perfectly flat. It sits in a lot better if you put it this way. So it's going to go like this, and we're going to insert this from the bottom of the vehicle, and from the inside of the vehicle is just going to be this on top over here. So I'll show you in just a moment. So that's the way it's going to be on this particular shock. So now we're just going to put a little bit of grease here to prevent any rust or corrosion. And we're also going to put some inside the bushing of the shock. So we're going to bring this back up here and line it up inside the hole of the vehicle. Once you get it inside, you can just line it up and get it in. We're just gonna install the washer and the nut on snug for now, and we'll tighten it up afterwards. We're just going to hand tighten it first, and we are going to go back inside. So we're inside the vehicle. We're going to install it just like this on top. We insert the rubber here and the washer on top, and that should do for this particular one. Make sure you're using the new washer that's supplied with the new shocks. So the new nut that was supplied with this is a 19 or a 3/4. So just tighten this up tight. We're probably going to have to hold down that hex that's at the bottom of the vehicle. So earlier we had the Allen key on top. So this one has a hex at the bottom. So you have to hold it with a wrench at the bottom, and then as you're inside to tighten it up. So we're gonna go here on where the wheel is, and you'll see that there's a hex up here. You can just hold it down with a wrench. It's a 19 mil hex. You can just hold it down there, and you just need to tighten it up from inside. You don't need anybody to hold it. It will just hit against the inner fender area, and so you just need to tighten it up then, and then that's it. So tightening it up, they are both a 19 millimeter. So you just need to tighten it until it stops, and then you should be okay. Until you see that the bushing is squished, and then you should be okay after that. You don't want to over tighten it, just enough to compress the bushings, and you should be fine. Just tighten it up snug, and you should be okay, and it shouldn't be a big deal really, and then you should be good. And then after, I'm going to proceed to do the other side. So once you're done, you can just turn this around and take out the wrench. Now we're just going to install the protective boot. Make sure it's inserted all the way through. For the aftermarket ones, you may not be able to install this all the way in, so just leave it on top and you should be good, because it hits the very top of the stud, so it's not going to sit in all the way. So we're just gonna leave it like that and reinstall the cover. So now we're just going to tighten up the bottom nut. I will put the torque spec on the screen if you want to torque it. My torque spec is just the German method, the good and tight, the gut and tight. So I'll put the torque spec on the screen. Tighten up the nut. It doesn't really have to be all that tight, really. So just make sure you double check your work. Everything is good and tight, and then you can lower either your jack or your bottle jack. You can lower it down now. Drop the suspension down. For the bottle jack, I'm using the Jet 12.5 tons bottle jack. This says it's made in Japan over here. So I use this to support the suspension for some small jobs. It's perfectly safe. You can also use a block of wood on top if you want, and it's very compact. You don't need to bring a big jack over to take up all of the room in the space. So now we are going to do the other side. It's the same exact thing, but I'm still going to show it on video. So once you do the first one, the other side should be a lot faster and easier to do if there isn't any problems. Just going to grab the Allen key. Small pipe. So this is going to be counterclockwise, and the Allen key is going to be in the opposite direction, so clockwise, to break it free. I don't think that these The top nuts are reusable because it's a nylock style nut. Always make sure that you support the suspension, so we gotta be careful. So otherwise, the coil spring will come down. So I'm just going to. I have it a little bit supported, but not all the way, as I did on the other side. So you have to watch out for that. So in case you do have a little bit of an accident, make sure you grab another jack and support this properly all the way. It can be dangerous if you don't know on what you are doing, but I was just being very silly here. So, anyways, I'm just using this bottle jack to support it, and there's an extra jack for safety if you want to do that. So now we're just gonna remove the 19 millimeter nut. I'm gonna grab a pry bar once again, get this out. The coil spring won't really come out, but you should be okay for the most part. The suspension will just drop if you're not careful, but the coil spring should remain in there. The other side is supported, so it shouldn't be an issue. So we're gonna be replacing this one now. So I have the old shock and the dust boot. So we are not gonna be reusing the dust boot. It will not work on this particular one. So all the hardware is here. This is gonna go on top like this, I believe. Have to put the washer to sit like this. It's gonna go inside on where it's gonna sit on the housing of the rear shock housing. So you have a rubber with the rubber in between the metal. You don't want to have it a metal on metal, otherwise it's going to make a noise. It's not gonna go like this. Let's see. It's going to sit like this, flush. I'm gonna apply some grease into the bushing. We're going to go underneath to install it. So we're gonna install the shock, put it through the hole here. Once it's in the hole, you can just install it back onto the suspension. Install the washer and the nut. Just we're just gonna put it on hand tight for now, and tighten it up afterwards. So if the stud is not too much inside the vehicle, you'll need to jack up the solid beam axle on this in order to 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 bring up the shock stud. So we're just going to jack this up a tiny bit just to bring the suspension upwards. So it's gonna be sitting in like this, facing downwards. It won't work like this because it doesn't sit in perfectly flat. It may be hard to see that on camera. So it's gonna go like this. We're gonna put this in here, try to center it the best we can, and install the nut. If you're not able to get down to the nut, you'll have to jack up the suspension a bit. So I'm gonna keep the camera inside while I jack up the suspension a tiny bit. That will expose a little bit more of the threaded portion of the stud on the shock, and then we will be able to tighten it up a little bit. We still need to put the wrench through. So I need to put the wrench on the shock. If you want, you can get somebody to help you to hold the wrench down if you want, but you don't have to. On the I started with the right side. On the left side, you're gonna have to put the wrench in the opposite direction because the way the because it's on the opposite side, so you'll put the wrench in the opposite direction. So we're gonna keep on tightening this down just until the nut is snug, until the bushings are compressed. You don't want to over tighten it, just until it's snug, and you should be okay. It's a lock nut style nut, I believe. It will lock in place once it's a certain tightness. So it will lock in place once you have it tight. So the nut, it will not go anywhere. So on this side, the wrench is in this direction. On the other side, the wrench is in this direction. So it's going to be opposite to tightening it up. If you don't have a helper, this is just going to hit against the fender here. So you don't really need a helper for this. So once it's tight, you can just reinstall the rubber piece and the bushing. Just make sure you don't over tighten this because the aftermarket nuts are not all that strong. You just need to tighten it until it's snug and until you see that the bushing is squashed or compressed, and then you should be okay. You don't want to over tighten it, otherwise it's going to strip. It's going to strip the threaded piece of the stud of the shock. So you want to be careful with that. So just reinstall the protective piece. And you should be all good to go. Just clean up the interior, and then that's it. So now we're just going to tighten this up now, snug, and then we should be all good to go after that. So once you're done, it should be safe to lower the vehicle to lower the support from the bottle jack and jacks, and then you just lower the vehicle, go for a road test, and then you should be okay. So that's going to conclude the video for the replacement of the rear shocks, and that's it. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and please don't forget to hit that bell notification, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day and take care.